going to bring up item 39 and 39A first. I spent a lot of time reading this yesterday and this morning, and so it's a very troubling proceeding. I'd like to put this matter behind us and move on from that before we go to other items. So we're going to bring up item 30A, and so I'm going to turn this over to Commissioner Randolph.
Okay. Thank you, President Picker. Christopher Shepard and Lawrence Daniels. Mr. Shepard and Mr. Daniels were a BART manager and a BART contractor, respectively. On October 19th, 2013, during a BART strike, they were working on the BART tracks, and their lives were cut short when they were struck by a BART train. The train that struck Mr. Shepard and Mr. Daniels was being used to train managers who were going to be operating the trains during the strike. This accident was entirely preventable. I will describe each of the violations that we found that BART engaged in that resulted in the deaths of these individuals. The BART trainer was using repeatedly a cell phone in violation of BART's rules. The trainer failed to directly supervise the trainee and in fact left the cab several times. Neither the BART trainer nor the trainee sounded the horn prior to the accident. The BART manager and center operator failed to give notice of the wayside workers via the ATIS warning notice. The wayside worker violated the simple approval rule, and both wayside workers failed to comply with the safe clearances rule, and BART failed to provide a timely and adequate investigation report after the accident. The total fine that we are imposing on BART is $1,348,000. It is the largest fine we have ever imposed on a public agency. Traditionally, when we fine investor-owned utilities, the shareholders pay those fines, so the ratepayers don't have to pay. With public agencies, we recognize that public individuals have to pay the fines because there are no shareholders to hold responsible. And so we typically either impose reduced fines, or we waive or will impose the fines and we will stay them. In this case, however, BART's actions were so egregious that we thought it was critical for ratepayers on the system, for all of the public in the Bay Area that uses the system, to understand the severity of what happened and the importance of imposing this fine. We did stay 1/2 of the amount of the fine if BART remains in compliance with safety rules during a 3-year probationary period. During this probationary period, BART is required to comply with several orders. First, BART shall impose at least one sign at each of its stations that states that the PUC has assessed a fine of $1,348,000, and that we have stayed that amount on the condition that BART complies with this decision and improves its safety rules. Second, BART shall track and submit a report to the Safety and Enforcement Division on all violations of safety rules, practices, policies, or procedures. BART is also required to provide details of corrective actions along with any disciplinary actions. Third, BART shall reevaluate its current safety training programs and culture. BART will then implement a plan that improves upon the effectiveness of its current safety training programs and safety culture. Fourth, BART shall develop and implement annual safety rules, practices, policies, procedures, and safety culture refresher courses for all its managers and senior employees. This refresher training shall be for no less than 40 hours. Fifth, BART shall have a management representative appear before the CPUC to report on BART safety and to take questions. The Safety and Enforcement Division shall monitor BART for its compliance with this decision, and we can extend the probationary period if good cause is shown. We believe the actions of the BART trainer showed a total disregard to safety. He was more concerned about baseball scores than the training task he was assigned. Mr. Shepard and Mr. Daniels deserved better. We want to make sure that BART emphasizes safety in the future and this does not happen again. The fines and annual reporting before the PUC are intended to do just that. Before I close, I want to take a moment to thank Administrative Law Judge Kimberly Kim for her diligent work on this matter. She worked incredibly hard. There were some challenging issues of first impression that she had to deal with. She worked closely with our legal division and with our office as the assigned commissioner, did an excellent job, and showed good judgment, thoughtfulness, and attention to detail. And I'm honored to have worked with her on this. I want to thank my advisor, Lester Wong, who worked hard on this as well, and to my Bagley-Keene partner, Commissioner Rechtschaffen, who brought a fresh perspective to this proceeding from his experience at the Attorney General's office and provided invaluable insight and thoughtfulness into how we approach this proceeding. So I move item 39A and ask for your support of this item.
Commissioners?
Thank you, Commissioner Randolph and Judge Kim. Commissioner Randolph's pretty much summed it up very eloquently. This was a tragic and entirely preventable accident. It was a clear result of BART's failure to supervise its employees, its failure to hold the employees accountable or take action once the accident happened, and create a workplace where safety is essential. It is a very large fine for a public agency, but it's necessary to provide a meaningful deterrent and ensure that real changes to BART's lax safety culture occur. So hopefully this is a wake-up call for BART. The probationary period that Commissioner Randolph described will allow us to continue to carefully scrutinize BART's actions and hold them accountable if violations of their safety regulations continue.
Other commissioners?
Thank you, Commissioner Randolph and Judge Kim, for your leadership on this issue. I echo your comments and thank you for taking the time to remind us about what actually happened. We spent a lot of time thinking about responsibility and our role, but it's important to remember, what brought us here today and the tragedy that there was. Thank you for your leadership. I'll be supporting this item.
Thank you, Commissioner Randolph, as well, and Judge Kim. This was a very tragic accident, and I want to just call out the structure of the penalty that I think is long overdue in our role as an agency overseeing compliance with safety. I think the 3 years is an appropriate time that you reached in the balance of making sure that BART is implementing this cultural change of greater safety. Thank you for instituting that continued oversight.
Thank you all for your hard work and for your deliberations on this. It's a difficult document to read. I, too, will be supporting the action that's proposed under item 39A, the modified decision, the decision different. I just want to say that this is a challenge for us. It took a long time, and I think that one of the defects here is that we need to be more timely in our actions. We need to move our decisions and our penalties closer to the time of the occurrence so that there's a clear nexus between the action, the fault, and our corrective actions. And so I know that this has been a difficult decision because there's been a lot of resistance to our jurisdiction, and I think that we'll continue to improve that. But I do want to just say that we need to continue to work on the way that we carry out our enforcement actions to bring these things to a deliberative but timely action in the future. Having said that, I also think that it's important to bring this to public attention, that frequently these items and the actions that we take on them aren't connected in people's minds to the original event. So I will go publicly to, I'll go before the BART board in a public meeting to read our findings and our actions pursuant to the advice of legal counsel. I expect that there may be an appeal on this, and so I'll wait out the appropriate time period. But again, I find this, that it's important for us to perfect our oversight and enforcement authorities. I think that we have made some efforts here that are going to stand us well, but we still have a ways to go. So, thank you all. With that, could the clerk please read the roll?
Good morning. For item 39A, Commissioner Guzman Aceves.
Aye.
Commissioner Peterman.
Aye.
Commissioner Randolph.
Aye.
Commissioner Retschhoffen.
Aye.
President Picker.
Yes. Okay, thank you. So now we